Hey everyone, welcome back to the workshop. Artisan Pirate here, and in today's fun video, we are going to be unboxing and reviewing a brand new scroll saw on the market. Please be in mind, this is a collaboration with the Buck Tools company. They reached out to me via email and they said, hey Artisan Pirate, since you are a scroll saw guy on the YouTube platform, would you be willing to do a review of one of the two new scroll saws that they are releasing to the woodworking market? They said I could look at either the 16-inch or the 18-inch scroll saw. I happily said yes, because it's my goal to keep the scroll saw a relevant tool for everyone to use out in their garage or workshops. And as I always say, it is a tool that does not take up a large footprint out in a garage or workshop. The whole scroll saw is in this one box. Now it does have some weight to it, so please be aware of that. But it arrived on the doorstep the other day, and it is the 18-inch version. Keep in mind, they said I could check out either the 16-inch, which is a very common size for a beginner scroll saw, or the 18-inch. That's 18-inch throat depth from the back side of the scroll saw blade all the way to where the arm comes around, so you have a lot of room to work with. They do have some information on the box here that I'll read off to you guys before we get to unboxing it. Buck Tools, and the model number is SSA18V for those curious. 120 volts, 1.3 amp, 2-inch max cutting capacity, so you can cut a piece of material, a block for compound cutting or stack cutting, up to 2 inches in thickness, so really cool. 550 to 1550 RPM, so that's how many times the blade will go up and down for a cutting motion during the actual cutting process while the scroll saw is running. So it's variable speed, which is a very common feature for scroll saws now on the market. So really cool. And that's also cool if you are a beginner scroller and you want to go at a slower feed rate, or if you're a seasoned scroller like myself and you want to speed it up to a quicker cutting feed rate. And it also comes with a cool 2-year warranty. Again, I'm happy to keep the scroll saw a relevant tool going forward into the digital future we now live in, and the technical future we now live in, now that CNCs and laser engravers are becoming more and more affordable for weekend and hobby woodworkers. But I'm happy to do this review for the Buck Tools company. So let's move the camera, get the scroll saw unboxed, and get it reviewed, and make some sawdust with it. And I am going to begin by getting my Swiss Army knife out and cutting the tape on the box. And as soon as I open it up, I can tell that it is carefully packaged to where it will not get damaged during the shipping process. And right on top is the instruction manual that I'll glance at before using the scroll saw for the first time. But it is packed and sandwiched between two big pieces of styrofoam. But after removing that top piece, you get your first glimpse of the new Buck Tools 18-inch variable speed scroll saw. And I'll carefully get it out of the box. It does have a little bit of grease on it from the shipping to prevent rusting. But a very quality tool that is basically fully assembled right outside of the box. What I'll do now is get ready to get it set up on a little workbench so we can look over it and then make its first bit of sawdust. Okay crew, here is the fully assembled Buck Tools 18-inch variable speed scroll saw. Pretty much fully assembled right out of the box. You can see it has similarities to a lot of other scroll saws that are on the market now. Really love the color scheme, the black and the orange like red color here. You have your tension knob here in the back. Up front, all the controls are right here within easy grasp. You have your variable speed knob, you have your on off switch, you have your air blower to blow the sawdust away from your cut line. It does come with a presser foot to hold the material down if you are new to scroll saw woodworking. Now I of course will take that piece off completely because I'm very familiar with not having this piece on. It's kind of like in the scroll saw community is kind of like the appendix for scroll saw woodwork, and once you learn to work without it, you'll never use the presser foot again. You have the blade clamp here, and the top clamp is toolless, so you just tighten down, and they do have a pinned scroll saw blade in it, so this scroll saw will accept both pinned scroll saw blades and pinless scroll saw blades, and of course these spiral scroll saw blades. Now the bottom chuck has a tooled blade change. Down here you can also bevel the scroll saw 45 degrees to the left and to the right if you want to make some bowls or creative bevel cuts over on the scroll saw. But you have this little tool here which you will go in to unloosen the blade chuck there, and then you can remove the blade for blade changes. But that's only for the bottom one. Of course, 9 times out of 10 you'll only be messing with the top one here. And they also have included a dust collection piece, which is really cool. It will bolt on right there, and you can hook a shop vac to it if you want dust collection over on the scroll saw. Please be aware that the scroll saw does produce a ton of fine sawdust when you are working on it, so just please be aware of that. We will continue to go around here. They do have a blade storage area right here. You press that down. You see they have a scroll saw blade in it right here, and this one's a more traditional style scroll saw blade. Goes in right there. We'll continue to go around. There was a piece of styrofoam stuck to it from the shipping. Then you have the motor mount assembly here, and then I've got it plugged into the wall. Now I've just got it clamped loosely to the folding clamping workbench out here in the workshop to do some demos on, but I did want to do some demos on it to show you guys the tool running itself. And I'll be installing one of my favorite sharp tooth number 5 ultra reverse tooth scroll saw blades into the scroll saw for the demos, and I felt it was only appropriate to cut out the name of the scroll saw company, which is Buck Tools. So let me get a scroll saw blade in it, then I'll let you guys hear it running in real time, and then we'll go to a time-lapse portion where we cut this out. Okay, I've taken out the scroll saw blade that came with the Buck Tools 18-inch variable speed scroll saw, and you can see it is the pinned style of blade. You can see that little T shank at the top, hopefully. A nice bulky blade. This would be appropriate for cutting out thicker material, but you guys know I like to do a lot of finer scroll saw work, so I do have a number 5 ultra reverse tooth sharp tooth blade in here, and you can hear it there. Did have to use the little T-wrench here to change the blade at the bottom, but I've got it set to between a 7 and an 8, which is where I'm familiar with it, and we did take the presser foot off. Again, the scroll saw community kind of figures that that is like the appendix of a scroll saw, but we're going to turn it on and you guys are going to hear it run. Nice quiet machine, very minimal vibration, and I'll back it all the way down to its slowest. There you go, and you can hear it running. And there's a fine bit of air coming out of the nozzle to blow the sawdust away from your cut line. And now we will crank it on up. Hear how quiet it is. So really, really cool. Hardly any vibration, as a matter of fact. So that is really cool. I'm going to turn it off now. You guys know I traditionally scroll saw sitting down, so I will be sitting down in the work stool to cut out the Buck Tools name. But what I'm going to do now is get the camera back onto the mounted tripod, and we're going to start making some sawdust with this new 18-inch scroll saw from Buck Tools. And we are going to begin here by cutting out the name And I'm beginning with the O in tools. You can see I've already got one of them cut out. The scroll saw cuts out very nice and smoothly. Buck Tools done an amazing job on making this scroll saw, and it's packed with a lot of the modern features for scroll saw woodworking. So it's really cool to have this style of scroll saw in an 18-inch model. Here we have the close-up so you can see how loyal I am being to the cut line, and as you can see, it's not vibrating or shaking around any. One thing I was kind of confused about was the air hose to blow the sawdust away kept moving around, and I think it might have just had some of the grease on it from where it was packaged and shipped to prevent rusting, so I will have to go and clean that up just to see if that helps that. But other than that, this scroll saw cut phenomenally well, and it was perfectly accurate to the 90 degrees that I dialed it into. And I want to thank Buck Tools for trusting me with this review. If you guys like what you're seeing, I would highly encourage you to subscribe to my channel and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. I'd really appreciate the support. And as always, I am using my number 5 Ultra Reverse Tooth blades for all of the scrolling. And what I'll also do is leave links to where this scroll saw will be available in case you guys want to go and see it. And you can look at it a lot closer on the websites and the social medias with photos and everything else. But I do feel like this would be a great scroll saw if you have never dove into the world of scroll saw woodworking. And again, it's a compact tool that doesn't take up a large footprint out in a garage or a workshop. I always try to stress how versatile a scroll saw can be when it comes to how many styles of creative projects that can be made. But thank you all for watching. Once we get done here, we'll get ready to close the video. But once again, a very cool scroll saw is now on the market by Buck Tools. And that, my friends, is going to about wrap up our review of the new 18-inch variable speed scroll saw from Buck Tools. I want to once again thank them for trusting me with the review of this brand new scroll saw that is on the market for scroll saw woodworkers everywhere. A very creative and versatile tool that again does not take up a large footprint out in your garage or workshop. And with a little bit of time, practice, patience, and effort, you can make some beautiful and creative designs on the scroll saw. We unboxed the scroll saw in today's video and then made some sawdust. When we unboxed it, you could see it was pretty much fully assembled right outside of the box. Here is a photo of it on the instruction manual, and again, it comes with a 2-year warranty in case something should go wrong with it while you have it out in your garage or workshop. What I'll do is leave links down in the description box below where you can pick up that Buck Tools scroll saw, and I'll also leave links to the official Buck Tools website where you can go see the other tools that they have offered for people to have out in their garage or workshops for all of their woodworking needs. But really, really cool. In today's video, after we got it unboxed, I got it dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees, and we cut out the Buck Tools name out of some scrap 3/4-inch pine shelving board that I had out in the workshop. And this is made using the Steve Good pattern generator that he still offers on his website, on his blog post. If you guys are curious, any letter you type in will be in that bar to where you can type it in and cut it out, and it can easily freestand on a shelf, desk, or countertop. And I hope that this is just a testament of the scroll saw blades that I like to use, and I'll talk about those momentarily. But the back side of them here, they have not even been sanded in any way, shape, or form. These are fresh off of the new scroll saw, the first bit of sawdust it's ever made out here in the workshop. And you can see how nice, clean and crisp it is. It only took me around 15 minutes to scroll this out completely from start to finish. And to make sure the scroll saw is dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees, if you do not have one of the 3D printed blade alignment jigs that I offer to you guys, you can of course take some thicker stock like 3/4 inch pine, or even thicker, maybe 3/8 or 1 inch, and cut out a basic puzzle piece once it is dialed in on the bevel gauge to a perfect 90 degrees. If you just want to quickly check it, if you're going to cut out puzzles or compound cutting or do some stack cutting, just cut out a basic puzzle piece on a piece of thicker material. You can see that's in the rough shape of a clover there, but it's still like a puzzle piece. And the best way to check it is, once you get it cut out, is if you can release it through the top side, and then if it can also pass through the bottom side and pass through with no friction whatsoever, you know your scroll saw is dialed in at a perfect 90 degrees. Hope that tip helps some new scrollers. But in today's video, I hope it inspired you to look at this tool. And now, before we officially close the video, I want to talk about the pros and the cons of the scroll saw. That's what the video is for, to give a genuine opinion about the scroll saw. We're going to start off with the pros, and then we'll finish with the very few cons that I do have with the scroll saw. But the pros are really, really cool. Very minimal vibration. You guys seen when I turned the scroll saw on, there was very minimal vibration from the slowest speed all the way up to the highest setting. It just sit there and ran. So that is really cool. I know a lot of the cheaper, lower end scroll saws, if I can say that, they tend to shake, rattle, and roll on a workbench or work table, and you have to bolt them or screw them to the bench. That is not the case with the Buck Tools 18-inch variable speed scroll saw. It is very rock solid. And one other thing I like is it's able to accept both pinned and pinless scroll saw blades. So that's something I don't see a lot of on the market, with the option to go to either or. Now, you're not going to get as fine a detail with the pin blades like was installed in the scroll saw right out of the box. That's why we went to the blades I like to use. But the pin blades, again, have this T-shank at the top and the bottom, so the clamps kind of grip it in like a motion like that and then pull it for the tension and everything. Whereas the pinless scroll saw blades, you can get a much finer pilot hole for finer fretwork style details, and the blade clamps just kind of hold them in place like that before you add the tension to it. But you can see that the pin blade that was included here, and then there was another blade that was pinless that was included, are big like this, and these would be good for cutting out thicker stock if you wanted to cut out some shapes out of some like 1.5 to 2 inch thick material. Keep in mind that scroll saw has a maximum cutting thickness of 2 inches, so that's really cool as well. But there is the pin blade, and here is the pinless blade. And if you guys are curious where I get the pinless blades, I love using, and I stand by, the Shark Tooth scroll saw brand. They are available through the Winfield collection, and you can pick them up in individual packs or you can buy them in bulk. They're relatively inexpensive. And I've also used the Pegasus blades that Klingspor Woodworking Shop offers, and they are also fantastic blades to have as well. But the number 5 Ultra Reverse Tooth blade is the blade that I like to use out here in the workshop 99% of the time over at the scroll saw. And again, with a little bit of time, practice, patience, and effort, you can make some beautiful and creative projects from something simple just like this here, Man's Best Friend, a man and his dog, made from a piece of poplar and walnut there. Or you can do some compound cutting and cut out this beautiful Love You block here out of 1.5 inch thick of material. Or if you want to get a little bit more detailed and you don't want to do a lot of blade changes, you could do a segmented piece like this tropical lighthouse scene here, where you cut everything out like a puzzle, you sand, shape, and contour it, glue it all back together to make a beautiful image in a pseudo 3-dimensional view. Or if you want to cut out a lot of details, Christmas is right around the corner, you could cut out something like this. Have yourself a merry little Christmas tree. And again, everything I just showed you, with a little bit of time, practice, patience, and effort was made completely over on the scroll saw. Another pro I want to talk about is it does offer dust collection. I did not install it in today's video, and it does come with 2 screws that are laying back here on the workbench. They're very small, so please keep up with them when you open this out of the plastic. But it does have a hinge here to where once it's installed, you can open it to clean everything out. The bigger pieces that fall through the hole where the blade goes through, but you're able to hook up your shop vac and be able to have all of the dust collected out of the scroll saw. Again, the scroll saw produces a ton of fine scroll saw dust, and that's why I encourage people to wear a mask when they are scroll saw woodworking to protect your lungs while you are scrolling, making beautiful scroll saw woodworking art. And again, it does come with the presser foot. Again, as I said earlier in the video, I took this piece off because a lot of scrollers, once they get a few projects under their belt, feel comfortable to take this away completely. I know when I was introduced to the scroll saw at the age of 14, keep in mind I'm in my late 30s now, that the scroll saws out here that my grandfather had these, and after 2 or 3 projects, I was familiar with just holding the piece in place. I was getting familiar with the pressure that it needed, the feed rate for feeding into the blade. So I asked, could we take this off? And I've subsequently taken it off of every scroll saw. I probably have 4 or 5 of these lying around the workshop at this point. But it does come with the presser foot for new scrollers that don't feel comfortable getting their hands closer to the blade. Always be careful when you are at your tools out in your workshop, and there is a little knob that holds it because you can raise and lower it depending on the thickness of stock you are cutting out over at the scroll saw. Now I want to talk about the couple cons that I do have with the scroll saw, and it's not very many, but again, I want to give my genuine opinion about the scroll saw to give you guys the best leg up if you are shopping for a scroll saw. One of the cons that I did not like was the bottom blade clamp. You have to have a tool to change it and release it. And I know there's a big community of scroll saw woodworkers that are what is called top feeders, and another one set of people that are called bottom feeders. I am known as a bottom feeder. I like to thread the scroll saw blade through the underside, raise the piece up, find the pilot hole, and thread it through. But then there's some other people out there in the scroll saw community that are called top feeders. They will release that bottom blade clamp, raise the arm, drop it through the pilot hole, and then tighten the blade clamp at the bottom. If you like that and like doing it in that method, you will of course have to use this each and every time. But with me being a bottom feeder, I didn't have to do it. The top blade clamp, which is the primary blade clamp of a scroll saw, you do not have to mess with it each and every time. It comes with a toolless. You just turn the little thumb screw there to release the blade, and you can get into a good rhythm and motion with changing it out and really fall into a good rhythm and zone out. Again, as I've always said, I'm very comfortable with zoning out over at the scroll saw with some good music on while making something. I feel comfortable doing that, and I feel like I do some of my best thinking while over at the scroll saw. The other con that I have with it is having to reach back each and every time to do the tension. You guys seen in the time-lapse portion while we were cutting out the Buck Tool's name that I was having to reach back each time to release the tension, and then once I got the pilot hole, the scroll saw blade through the pilot hole and got it tightened back to the clamp, I had to reach back there and tighten it, do the cut, then repeat the process. So I had to do that a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around 6 or 7 times for this project because I had to redo it when we done the final outside release cuts as well. So just be aware of that. Again, if you're just going to be wanting to cut out some basic shapes, do some basic simplistic projects, I feel like this would be a great scroll saw to have because again, it has very minimal vibrations. I've just got it clamped to the stand there, and I was sitting in my work stool. I didn't even have it angled like I like to have it angled, like I have my primary scroll saw out here in the workshop angled, and it was still very comfortable to cut out on it because it had very minimal vibrations. And one other minute thing that is a con to me is the air blower. The little hose would not stay in place when I positioned it above the cut line to blow the sawdust away while I was scrolling. Now I think that's going to be a very simple fix. I think it's just got some grease on it where it was packed at the workshop at the factory to prevent rust on it during its shipping and everything. I'm going to clean it up a little bit and see if it stays in place. Again, that's just something very, very minor. But I do wish, like on the main scroll saw I use out here in the workshop, the daily driver scroll saw, I wish all of the tensioning features was right there at the front. But that's just my 2 cents and my genuine opinion of the Buck Tools 18-inch variable speed scroll saw. And again, I hope it inspires you. If you do not have a scroll saw out in your workshop, at least look at the market for scroll saws. Again, the Buck Tools has a new 18-inch and a 16-inch scroll saw. So again, they're very versatile tools with the projects I've just shown you. That was a collection of both Fox Chapel and Steve Good designs that I showed you there. But I hope that it shows you how versatile the tool could be. And again, it does not take up a large footprint out in a garage or workshop. And it's something that I hope people look into, even though laser engravers, laser cutters, and CNC machines are becoming more and more affordable forever than ever to have out in your garage or workshop. But once again, I'll leave links down in the description box below to where you can go and look at this on the website, and also to Buck Tools' official website. And I hope that you guys have enjoyed the video and found it informative from start to finish. If you want to know anything else about that scroll saw, please ask it down in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you guys as quickly as possible. But thank you all for following along today. If you're new to the channel, hopefully you'll click that subscribe button, and also follow me across all my social media feeds under the Artisan Pirate name. As always, links to contact me as well as all my social media feeds will always be linked down in the description box below these videos. That's about all for this one, and remember guys, if I can make it or do it, so can you guys. I'm the Artisan Pirate. Take care, and I'll see you guys real soon.